Desk. We're about to take you to a live interview with County Executive Chris Ronayne, Cuyahoga County Executive. Yesterday, in kind of a bizarre late in the ball game move, the executive sent a letter to Columbus to ask lawmakers for $350 million from the capital budget to renovate downtown's Huntington Bank Field. If that sounds a little late to the ball game, not to use a pun, you might be right. The Senate is about to debate money for the Brook Park project. Is this a flare? Is this a Hail Mary, to use yet another pun? I've got a million of them if you stick around. But we're about to hear from the county executive on what this move is about and why so late in the process.
Maybe concerning.
I've never had any complaints about being bored.
And we'll kind of keep this turned down until we get to the official interview here. Just getting set up. The county executive has a busy day, so he's actually carving out some time for us here before he heads into, I'm not sure if it's either a meeting, but we had to meet him at the Key Bank Tower, and let's take a listen in.
I'm sure that you are having just as much fun talking about this as we are talking about it, but we're back again with the Browns. So first, talk to me, what's going on with this letter, the release, the timing of it? Walk me through it.
Yeah, I had a letter drafted last week that I ended up sending this Monday to the state Senate because they're now back in session. And I wanted to get to them while they're deliberating the request from Haslam Sports Group, which is for $600 million for the Brook Park venture. We have said over and over again, it's too risky. It was nice this week to see the state of Ohio agree with us. The Legislative Service Commission and the Office of Budget and Management have both come in, their advisors to the governor and to the state legislature, both come in and said the Brook Park Stadium is too risky for taxpayers. We've said the same thing of Cuyahoga County. So my letter to the state Senate was to say, one, it's too risky out in Brook Park. Two, we only need what Hamilton County has asked for. That's the Bengals at Paycor Stadium, and the county commissioners there have asked for $350 million. I asked for $350 million. $350 million stacked with the city of Cleveland's stack in the development, and possibly the county will get us to where we want to go on a dramatic lakefront transformation. And that's what Haslam Sports Group itself pitched long ago. And then the third thing we've said is just come home. Bring it back to where the fan favorite is. Fans have been watching football in downtown Cleveland since 1946 in the first season that opened there. Let's stay the course, build around the infrastructure investments that we've built here. In my letter, I cite all of the unanticipated costs of building out in Brook Park. New highway interchanges, new roadways, the kind of infrastructure that, you know what, we need in our own communities. We need that in our parks, in our schools, in our playgrounds, in our own communities. This will be a zero-sum game, and this will be a great sucking sound for years and decades to come. It's financially an exhaustive proposal for the taxpayers to try to eat, and I don't want to put them in harm's way with undue risk. So my letter to the state Senate this week was clear. We don't want to see Brook Park happen because the money that they're asking of us is too risky for taxpayers. We want to get about as much as Cincinnati is asking for, which is $350 million, which would get us a doable plan, which is a transformational downtown stadium. You know this. You look at cities around the country. Stadium is coming back because sports and entertainment are critical to the viability and sustainability of downtown city cores. That's what we have in Cleveland. People have learned from Cleveland. It's nice to have within walking distance 3 major sports facilities, all within blocks of each other. So come home, Cleveland Browns, Haslam Sports Group. Forget the fool's errand in Brook Park. Get back to the basics and get done what you originally proposed to the state 2 years ago. I think the state is starting to come around to our point of view.
You know, you've talked about the state. Last time we sat down, you talked about the conversations in Columbus. I know that we just had the governor talking about this, but we also had on the House floor when they were pushing through that original budget to get it to the Senate. A lot of people not really talking about Cleveland when they were talking about the budget. Does it still feel like, do you still feel as strongly as you did last time we talked that there are still serious considerations about getting the Browns back to downtown in Columbus?
We feel stronger than ever that our argument to keep the Browns in Cleveland's downtown is stronger than ever. You know, because the Legislative Service Commission that does the analysis for the state legislature said that Brook Park is too risky. It's what I've been saying for a year. It's what I think the governor is beginning to realize. So when all of the public leaders are being told by their fiscal analysts that this is a bridge too far and too risky, why are we even entertaining it? I think the constituents are going to rise up and say to their legislators, why are we doing this? We're the taxpayers who foot the bill on this. Why are we doing this? So my letter to the state Senate this week reminded them of that. We represent the people, and we cannot put the people at risk.
I know in the state of the city address that the mayor just gave, he talked about kind of having a united front on this. Why is this coming from you and not the city on a city-owned stadium?
Because my peers in Hamilton County, Cincinnati, made the request of the governor and of the state legislature for $350 million. So peer-to-peer, Hamilton County Commissioners, Cuyahoga County Executive, we both spoke to the issue, asking for the same amount of money. 2 stadiums, both teams in the AFC North, both about the same age as far as stadiums go and proximate to waterfronts in their downtown. Let's do the doable, get them both funded. But I'm here to represent the one here in Cuyahoga County, and that's the Cleveland Stadium that we know is Huntington Field. And Huntington Field needs a new life, but I'll tell you what, it's the affordable new life, and it's the practical new life, and it's the one that's going to support all the downtown infrastructure, like this hotel we're standing in, the convention center next door, everything we've built, that in anticipation that our sports teams stay the course downtown. So if the state of Ohio decides to deflate the balloon of downtown, that's on them. If they decide to put, the legislators decide to put their own constituents at taxpayer risk, that's on them. I'm not going there. This dog doesn't hunt.
I know that there's been a lot of comparisons to Indianapolis, Detroit, Minneapolis with a new stadium, and we've talked about that a lot, about those comparisons to other cities. It sounds like conversations in Columbus are, how do we keep up with a Lucas Oil that will bring that draw, and a new dome stadium would make that. It sounds like your argument is keeping everything in one location is how you keep up with that.
Yeah, I'm smiling because other cities have learned from Cleveland, Ohio. From the time we built Gateway, the complex with obviously Rocket Arena and Progressive Field. When we built that, people learned from us that we built neighborhoods around that stadia. When we kept the Cleveland Browns downtown in the second iteration of the Browns, we built this convention district around the stadia. So places like Detroit are learning from Cleveland that Cleveland kept its sports teams downtown, so they brought the Pistons and the Lions back downtown, right? They've learned from us. So I'm smiling with the idea that we would actually go against our own success story and take it away from downtown. The story about a dome, downtown has never been mutually exclusive about dome or no dome. You want to talk dome? Let's talk dome. Let's talk dome downtown. You could retrofit dome at current site. Haslam Sports Group's actually talked recently about that idea. Again, they should come forth to the public about their downtown plans. They're trying to run and really, frankly, bull rush this Brook Park odyssey to the goal line. They've duped a few people in the process. They're not going to dupe us in Cuyahoga County. Our high hope is that the state Senate sees the light, does what Cuyahoga County fans and taxpayers want, which is to keep the Browns downtown, and does what's right by the Ohio taxpayer to keep the risks contained.
Sir, we've talked about this 3 times, I think, in the last month, you and I. I'm just going to be blunt. The timing of this, does it feel like too little too late now that the budget has already been pushed through the House and into the Senate?
Not at all. We've been downstate arguing our case for a better part of a year. It's just that we keep doubling down on our case. Haslam Sports Group seems to be doing the same thing. For some reasons, they want to hijack the downtown Cleveland Browns from its downtown and its historic home, which is hijacking them from the fans themselves. But we've gone downstate with our case, and it's mano a mano, tete-a-tete. We're doing it because we believe in it. We believe in the argument that we shouldn't put taxpayers at risk. We believe in the argument that we can do something transformative on the lakefront, and we believe in the argument that it's time to come home. So we're going to keep sounding that alarm. We've been doing it for a year. Why we sent the letter to the Senate this week is because the Senate is back in session and they're deliberating a $600 million request in the budget. I've asked for $350 million. Save yourself $250 million. Give it back to the taxpayers for other Ohio uses.
Well, if this is a mano fight, then what's in the next round for us here?
There's gateway checkpoints. You've got the state Senate budget. They're going to decide by middle of June where they're going to go with the budget request from the Haslam Sports Group. We obviously hope that they don't go there. But if they do, then it comes to the governor's desk. The governor's going to have to decide whether he will see it through or whether he will veto it. We think he should veto it if it gets to his desk. But those are all kind of steps on a journey that we're on right now. And of course, if it comes home to Cuyahoga County, I've remained the same in my refrain. It's time to come home to downtown Cleveland. Let's do the doable, and let's do what's fair. Fair between Ohio taxpayers, between 2 professional football teams in 2 different cities with similar asks. That's what we're asking, is make a similar ask and fund a similar ask, but also what's fair to the Guardians and the Cavs, which is to assure their future too. And beyond that, let's support our communities with infrastructure and not drain the infrastructure resource bucket by putting it all in one place and, as some argue, in one person's pocket.
Does it feel like the governor is leaning one way or another right now?
You have to talk to the governor, but we have had high hope that the Office of Budget and Management's recommendations will embolden an argument with the governor that this belongs downtown and Brook Park's too risky.
Last question here for you. The mayor had a lot to say about this fight and about you and him collaborating together.
Yeah.
Any comment on what he said in his State of the City address?
Well, we've been partners on this together all the way through. And again, I've continued to say this isn't Cleveland versus Brook Park. It's about everybody's downtown. So I represent the county and the region as it relates to trying to make a sound and smart decision. And I'm making it. And I'm making the one that is most fiscally prudent, least taxpayer risky, and best return for the existing infrastructure we've made. Mayor's been on the same page. Mayor Bibb's been on the same page as us on that. And together we continue to make that message and we try to get it heard. Right now I'm trying to get ours heard in the state Senate. And, do what's fair, do what's right, do what's the least risk, and do what's doable, which is downtown.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Dan DeRose with 19 News as they wrap up our Colton Molesky wrapping up his interview with County Executive Chris Ronayne, sending a letter to the leaders of the Ohio Senate saying, hey, don't give $600 million in bonds. And we've got to be very careful. The county executive trying to say, let's save $250 million and give those to schools and where we need it. That's not the same. You can't draw that line. You can't build in that sandbox. This is a $600 million loan. This is not money coming out of the state budget. But what the county executive is proposing is coming out of the state budget. He is asking for $350 million right from the budget, as opposed to asking for $350 million in bonds, which are loans that get paid back over time. As far as the timing, he's correct. The state Senate is now back in session this week after a 2-week recess. We expect to hear from the Finance Committee in the next couple of weeks to have them start their hearings. Will they scrap the $600 million loan bond plan? Will they go with a different plan? Will it be a hybrid of what the governor was asking for? We'll have to wait and see. But the one thing I want to note is that when we do talk to senators and House leaders down in Columbus, you've got the Democrats who don't want any money sent anywhere. You've got Republicans, and not all, but the majority, who say, let's go Brook Park. You don't hear any Republicans talking about downtown, and the Republicans control both the House and the Senate in Columbus. We'll have much more on this, and don't forget, our Stadium Showdown shows, we dedicate resources, reporters, anchors, our time every week to updating you on what's new in the Stadium Showdown, in the battle for Brook Park or downtown. And that is every Friday at about 6:30 on our digital platforms. Until then, our noon news just ended. Look for 3.5 hours of news and First Alert weather to start at 3 o'clock on Channel 19. Until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a good afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and follow us on social media at Cleveland 19 News.